Nobody starts a creative business because they want to become a CEO. But that's exactly what ends up happening, and they end up hating it. They resent the very thing they created because the machine that helps them become more successful makes them feel trapped, stuck, lost. And all that magic creative energy that made them successful in the first place gets sucked into the black hole of business machinery, running teams, managing schedules, constant meetings, and let's face it, working a job. Now, some creatives are lucky enough to reach 7 or 8 figure revenue, but then they find themselves waking up with that pit in their stomach, wishing there was a way they could get back to the work they used to do, the creative work. And it feels like being the CEO is the price you have to pay for success. If that sounds familiar to you, I want you to know that there's definitely a way out. No, you do not have to fire everyone and you don't have to reboot your entire business. The answer is actually very simple. Just run away. I'm just kidding. I wish the answer was that simple. It actually took me years of figuring things out for myself before I could start helping other creatives with the answer. So let's walk through some of the reasons that creatives get to this place and the mistakes they make along the way, because you won't understand the solution until you can understand the real problems. All right, the first mistake is thinking that your business is the enemy. Your business is not the enemy. It's actually just evidence that something worked well because people are paying you, they trust you, they want more of what you make. That is not a failure, it is not a mistake. It is proof that your taste and your skill and your judgment and your imagination mattered to someone else so much that they are willing to trade their hard-earned money just to work with you, just to buy something from you. But the business starts feeling like a mistake when it begins taking more from you than it gives back. It steals from your ability to deliver your best work, and no amount of money is worth the trade-off. Now, the second mistake is a lack of structure. A creative business needs structure. It needs people and clients and money and operations and all that normal stuff. None of it is evil, but if every part of your company still needs your attention and your approval, your rescue, and your emotional energy, your company eventually just spends all of your time and it leaves nothing for you. Of course, you do still have some creative work on the calendar, technically. I mean, it just happens after the meetings, after the approvals, after all the Slack messages are read and responded to, after the client issue, after the employee conversation, and the finance thing, and the decision that you postponed yesterday because 3 more urgent things showed up. You didn't stop doing creative work because you stopped caring. You stopped doing creative work because everyone and everything else learned to come to you first. And you allowed it. You set it up this way. That is the blind spot, and so many successful creatives have it. So people like you and me will resort to ideas like, I need better tools to manage my time. Sometimes that's true, but if you look at your calendar, you can see that it's hiding deeper problems. For example, the team meetings, they're really training sessions that teach your team to wait. Your unmanaged client feedback calls are complaint sessions that you continue to absorb. Those Slack calls with your employees, they just teach them that you have the answers, and they don't. Sales opportunities, they turn into obligations because saying yes is just a lot easier than deciding what deserves your time, your energy. In other words, you have built a machine that feels really heavy because you didn't know how to build one that works for you. While that might feel like an insult, it's actually kind of good news because if you helped train the pattern, you can help retrain it. Now, doing the fix work will probably feel wrong at first because the habit that built the company may now be the habit that keeps you trapped. For example, you might think you're successful because you care more than other people, and that's made caring look like rescuing on every project. Instead, you need to teach your team what you care about and how you evaluate success so they can replicate it without you. If you think you're successful because your standards are higher, you've just taught everyone else that those standards live inside your head, and your team needs to interpret them or figure them out every day. They are not mind readers. Instead, you need to document those standards and make them measurable so that your team knows how to beat or exceed your standards. If you think you were successful because you could move fast, you've probably jumped into decisions before anyone else has the chance to figure things out and grow. Instead, you should delegate project ownership and set realistic expectations for completion with minimal oversight from you. If you think you're successful because your clients trust you personally, then you need to tell your clients that you trust your employees. And you actually need to trust them before you hand off the work and the relationship. Otherwise, your business can't deliver without putting you in the middle of everything. Now, the third mistake is thinking that you have an operations problem. Yes, you may need better systems. Yes, you may need clearer roles. Yes, you may need different people in a few seats. But if you only install systems around the same habits that you have, the systems become just another place where everyone waits for you. So you have to ask yourself a simple question. What did your success train you to keep doing? Because success is dangerous in one specific way. It rewards bad behaviors and prevents you from getting to good behaviors. If you rescue a client project and the client is happy, rescuing gets rewarded. If you rewrite the team's work at midnight and the deliverable gets better, then rewriting gets rewarded. If you answer every question to keep things moving forward, then answering every question gets rewarded. If you say yes to every opportunity and your revenue grows, then saying yes gets rewarded. And guess what? 5 years later, you're exhausted and resentful and wondering why no one else can carry the weight of your company. So here's the hard truth. Your team cannot carry what you never let them carry. And you cannot return to your creative work until the company stops needing your fingerprints on every freaking thing. So the way out is not escape, but confronting yourself and your bad habits. Escape might feel good in your imagination because you're tired. You pictured having a smaller life with a simpler business and fewer people and fewer calls and fewer messages, maybe even a clean desk and some guitars behind you or sitting in the corner. And maybe some of that needs to happen, but running away or firing people or doing a weekend reboot rarely solves the founder habit. You can think you're leaving one machine for another, but you're just going to build another one with the same defaults. So just ask yourself, what has to change so your business can keep existing without crushing you? And that usually means 3 things. First, you have to name the specific ways that your company depends on you. Ask yourself, who waits for your approval? Which decisions come back to you? Which employee keeps getting rescued? Which client keeps breaking the same boundary? Which opportunity keeps costing more life than it is worth? Number 2, you have to stop swooping in and fixing the work and pretending it's the responsible thing to do. You're driving everyone crazy. Some responsibility is real and good. You own the company. You own the standards. You own the promises you make to the market. Good. That's great. But a lot of founders use responsibility as a respectable word for control, fear, avoidance, or impatience. I'll just do it myself. That sounds responsible, and maybe it is once every 6 months, not every 6 days. And when it becomes the way the business works, it is a trap designed by you to hate your past self. Now, the third thing you need to do, you have to rebuild your week around the work that you claim matters the most. This is not something you can wait on. You can't wait for your next hire or the next launch or until things calm down, because things never calm down by themselves. If your best creative work only gets the scraps of your time and energy, you've already answered the question of what matters most. Your calendar answered it for you. Now, this is the first idea I want to build on in this series of videos I'm making. A creative founder does not lose mastery or excellence all at once. He or she loses it through meetings that they keep accepting, through decisions they keep delaying, through work they keep taking back, opportunities they keep approving, and standards they keep carrying alone. The work you love is probably still there in your business, but you might have built a company that starves you before you can get to it. And that can change. The way back is Not a fantasy. It's not running away or pretending that you can go back to the early days before when the business worked. The way back starts by telling yourself the truth about where your best hours go now, why they go there, and what the company has learned to expect from you. You shouldn't have to choose between the business that succeeded and the work that made it succeed. You built the business. Now you have to make it serve you.